Gamesir is known for putting a slew of controllers out, and they haven't stopped yet. They sent me out the Gamesir Nova and the Gamesir Nova Lite. All right, so we got all 4 controllers on the table. We're gonna look at them, not all 4 of course, because 2 are the same. I did get the different colors they sent out to me, by the way. All right, so pretty much these are the same controllers. You got the 2 Nova Lights and then the 2 Novas themselves. I'm only gonna look at 2 of them, so I'm gonna take 2 and put them to the side because, well, they're the same, right? So we don't need to look at 4 controllers. I just want to show you guys and gals to different color variations. Let's start with both these controllers and the unboxing portion. Honestly, it was nonchalant, especially when it came to the light. I'm going to show you on the PC just so you can kind of see real quick. All right, just so you can see right here. I mean, this is it. This is it, right? This is all you're going to get in the box for the light itself. You can get the box, which is a brown box. It's literally what it is. The dongle and the case, hard shell carrying case, which is fine, right? I'm not mad at that. And then for the Nova itself, it's really the same thing, to be honest with you. You're gonna get the white box instead of the brown box, and a couple more instructions with it. That's literally about it. Like, you're gonna get, you know, USB cable and all that, but that's it. So all right, so I do like the carrying cases that do come with the controllers itself. They look good, as in look, whatever. They feel okay. They're going to protect the controller just a little bit more, so that's nice to see. We're going to take them and put them to the side. They are hard shell, just so you kind of see. Moving on, let's talk about cosmetics on the controller for a second here. They look like Xbox controllers to me. I do like the transparent blue on the Nova itself, and the RGB lights. Let's see if we can get them to come up real quick. As you can see here, you do have RGB lights on the Nova itself, and they do look pretty good, if I may say so. I like the way it looks and all that good jazz. And you can control it by holding the M button down and moving the button around and stuff. And holding the M button down, you can move the joystick around. It actually will control the RGBs and stuff like that. So just FYI there. The blue color on here looks fine to me. I like the orange and the kind of darkish, really navy blue kind of looking stuff going on there. Good. I'm not mad at it. Moving on. Ergonomics of the controllers, they felt fine. I'm not gonna compare these to the G7 to G7 SE. I just don't think it's fair, since those are Xbox controllers and these are Switch and PC controllers. So I am gonna compare them to the T4 Pro. And I will say, ergonomically speaking, they're pretty much the same in my personal opinion, holding these 2 controllers. I will say that the T4 has more of a edge right here to where your fingers kind of rest a little bit better, maybe, in my personal opinion, but they both feel okay when it comes to that. It's not like one feels way more comfortable than the other or something like that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I will say that the Nova Lite it feels same weight as well to me. So it's not like it's lighter because of the name. Lighter in material, as in features, but not lighter in weight, I don't believe. Can both of these controllers wake up the Switch? No, they cannot, unfortunately. You're gonna have to get up and walk over and do it the old-fashioned way, which kind of sucks, to be honest with you. Compatibility for both these controllers are gonna be from the PC, Android, iOS, which anything really with Bluetooth and stuff like that, it will be able to connect to. You can connect it to certain adapters and stuff out there for Xbox and stuff as well, if you know they're not blocked or whatever, because there is an Xbox block going on that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I run into this issue myself, so I was able to get it to work with the Lite. I didn't have luck with the Nova, to be honest with you. One of the differences on these controllers themselves are going to be the button layout for the xyba. If you're looking at the controllers themselves, on the Nova Lite, you're going to have xyba as an Xbox controller itself, which is what I prefer. And then over here, you have the Switch layout instead. Now, there's no way to like swap these around. And I was thinking about this. I feel like there should be a way, not like the KK3 where you can take the buttons out and move them around and stuff like that, but actually have like a switch or like a button where you can hit it and it'll flip these buttons around. Like the 8-bit do, you can actually swap the buttons around with their feature they have on their controllers and stuff. I want Gamesir to insert that into these controllers as well, because I don't like playing with the button layout on here. I hate it. I was having so much issues trying to play Call of Duty on PC with this controller because it legitimately was BAXY in game, and I had to go in here and manually switch everything around, which isn't a big deal, I guess, but the same aspect, you can't do that for all games. And if they could just make something where we can just swap and then swap, be good to go. Little hint, hint. Gamesir. Buttons on here themselves, I'll be 100% honest with you, they feel very deep. Both controllers, they're the same internally. They're both membrane. They just feel bad in my personal opinion. The T4 itself, like I said, we were going to compare it to. This controller is, you know, a little bit more money, but they have mechanical buttons on it and they just feel so much better, even though these aren't the best mechanical buttons in the world, if I'm being honest with you, but they still feel better than the Nova and the Nova Lite, in my opinion, when it comes to buttons themselves on the controller. If I were to compare it to like the Gamesir G7 and the SE, yeah, they feel way better. Like those controllers feel way better than these controllers when it comes to that. But again, we're not trying to do that because that's an Xbox controller. I could do the T4. Oh, can't reach it, so whatever. And even the T4 wired is mechanical buttons as well. So just keep that in mind too. So no mechanical buttons on here, even on the Nova. Like Nova Lite I can see, but not even on the Nova itself. It's kind of like, you know, what are we getting here? Let's talk about the D-pad on here real quick here. We're not gonna spend a whole lot of time here, but I do want to talk about it. So the Nova Lite, you can see I have it set up on the screen tester right here. And you can kind of see when I go back and forth what it looks like and stuff. I'm gonna say from a standpoint of how it feels, it's not the best in the world in my personal opinion. I feel like the roll-offs are kind of not very smooth and it just kind of feels deep, if I'm being 100% honest with you, and not pleasure to play with at all. So if you're gonna be using this for like fighting games and stuff like that, just know you kind of get that. This doesn't feel good to the thumb at all. Well, trying to do roll-offs and stuff like that. Let me show you the Nova itself. Okay, so when it comes to the Nova itself, and that extra $10 is paying off here because this D-pad isn't bad to play with. I definitely feel the difference between D-pads on these two controllers. It's not like OMG, it's the greatest controller of all time when it comes to D-pads, but it is definitely a step up from the Nova Lite. The roll-offs feel better. I feel like I can just have a better time playing fighting games and stuff like that with this D-pad versus the Nova Lite. How I would want to play with these controllers is I would use the Nova Lite more or less for like a menu D-pad. That's about as far as I would want to go with it, where I would actually use this to play games and stuff. Another thing on these controllers are the front actuation buttons. The Nova Lite, man, I'm gonna be honest, these feel really cheap, and they feel so cheap that I'm gonna see if I can't get it in here. The M button is even leaning on me already from just testing the controller out. It's kind of like leaning to the right a little bit, and that doesn't give me very good hope. I'm trying to see if you can kind of make out how it looks and stuff on my end, but it doesn't look great in my personal opinion when it comes to longevity of the button. It's just really bad. Now I will say the Nova itself, the buttons, they feel a little bit clickier, they feel better, so they definitely did something different with the mechanical or the front actuation buttons on here, which are good. You do get your, you get more buttons on this one as well, plus minus screen capture, home, and then the memory button, of course. And then over here you're really only getting you're getting 2 less buttons itself. So let's talk about the thumbsticks on the controller for a second here. They are both Hall effects, so you are getting that out of the box with both these controllers. So here's the gamepad tester, as you can see on screen and stuff. Here's the controller. We're gonna move it around. As you can see, the percentage does snap right back to 0.00, which is perfect. And we're gonna do circularity real quick just to see. Circularity is going to be good as well. As you can see here, we're getting really low values, almost 1%, which is pretty good. And you can just see me working all the other buttons as well. All right, here's the Nova Lite itself. We got it wired up into the controller, and as you can see here, the resting value is 0.0 or 0.0002, which is perfect. Let's go ahead and turn on the circularity, and we should be getting really low numbers. Which, sure, okay, 2.8 is not bad at all on these controllers. Nova, a little bit lower, but it is what it is. Moving on. Let's talk about pulling rate out of the box. So we're gonna start with the Nova Lite, and we have it hooked up wired. So let's go ahead and do that test now. And as you can see here, I gotta look over here to see what I'm doing. It's already done. Okay, cool. So the Nova Lite, it looks like I'm just gonna look over this way until I get figured out. Pretty much a 5 milliseconds or 500 pulling rate. Is right, jitter's pretty low, max is high. Well, max is almost at a 4. There's not a whole lot of outliers. I'd say it's definitely a 500 pull-in rate out of the box, but you're not here for the 500 pull-in rate. You're not here for it wired. You're here for it wireless. Test it wireless. Can I test it wireless? We're gonna leave it recording from here on out. I just did this test and forgot to hit record, so we're doing it again. Different color controller because the dongle wasn't, I couldn't get it to connect for some reason. It's stupid. I don't know. Moving on. And it's gonna be the same result, which was horrible, by the way. I'm gonna look this way and kind of look at y'all at the same time because my screen's over here. And as you can see here, you're getting anywhere from almost 8 milliseconds all the way up to 16 milliseconds. It shows 125 pull-in rate. You know, it's even worse than that because of the outliers here. They're just not good. They're just not good. The jitter's really high right here. I mean, that's bad. And the max is 35, which that's probably an outlier at the very top being the number one. Actually, it wasn't, which is still probably error on mine. I don't know. You got 27 there. This isn't a good controller dongle wise with for FPS shooter games. If you're going to use this for FPS, you're going to have to go wired. And at that point, you might as well get the T4 wired because it does 1000 hertz. It's got mechanical buttons and Hall effect joysticks as well in it. So, you know what I mean? Like, I would rather spend the money on that and get a better controller. And it has back buttons. You know, the light doesn't have back buttons. We're testing the light here. So, all right, so we have the Nova here. We're going to test it out real quick and see what we get for pull-in rate out of the box at 2 milliseconds probably. Oh, it's done. Okay. Hold on, let's do that again. Oh wow, that's weird. We're gonna do it one more time. It got done really quick. I mean, it's got really good. It's okay. All right, so we got so weird. So you get anywhere from a 0.9 to a 4 or 5, really 5 milliseconds. The Nova Lite, if you remember, was actually pretty much 2 milliseconds out of the box. So this is close. I mean, this says it's a 600 pull-in rate. You're getting a lot of 5s in there. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. I mean, it's just 5s all the way up the board. So I'm gonna probably, it's probably closer to the 500 millisecond pull time or 5 millisecond pull time, but it's not very consistent at all. The jitter's a little bit higher as well right here. And again, here's the maximum and minimum. Everything just, it doesn't seem very stable when it comes to the controller itself. I think the Nova Lite is a little bit more of a stable connection, and in Bluetooth, of course, it's just not going to be very good at all. So let's move on from that. I think we got what we need to see here. Yeah. All right, we're gonna talk about control freaks real quick. The control freaks that fit on these controllers, the Nova and the Nova Lite itself, is going to be, let me pull the Nova Lite back out. It's gonna be the PlayStation 5. That's the one I can get to fit on there. They do go on there a little bit hard, to be 100%. Not like super hard, but I just kind of rotate it when I put it on there. Be careful when you're doing, you don't want to destroy anything, but it does go on there pretty good. And once it's on there, it's on there. These would be PlayStation 5s. If you're wanting to get these control freaks, I prefer these. I'm going to link them below, as well as these controllers, of course, themselves. Stick around at the end to see if I actually recommend these or not, and yeah, all that good stuff. So, or go buy the stuff. I don't care. Support the channel. Either way, appreciate you. Both the controllers will not overclock out of the box. They're both overclocked locked, so you're not going to be able to overclock these controllers, so there's no point even testing that. Let's move on from there. All right, let's talk about the bumpers and the triggers for a second. We'll start with the bumpers. I'm not a big fan of these bumpers at all. They just kind of sit there. They're squared off. I like them where they wrap around, where I can just kind of, I mean, I can move my finger to hit them pretty well. But again, we're going to compare it to the T4 right here. Like these bumpers, they wrap around. You know, the stipple here is kind of dumb because, you know, I'm resting my finger up here. They should put the stipple there, but we're not reviewing this controller today. But it's just more comfortable ergonomically speaking, in my opinion, when it comes to the bumpers. These just feel very, you know, they feel okay, but they're definitely not my favorite bumpers in the world. When it comes to the triggers, I do like the hook that they have going on here to where your finger will rest at. I think that's pretty cool. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate on the Nova itself, as you can see here, there's not a whole lot of throw on these triggers, which I like for FPS shooter games. You may feel differently. Let me know in the comments below what you prefer. But if you do prefer the other way, these controllers have more of a pullback, more of pull versus the Nova. So I'll just give you a side-by-side comparison real quick here. As you can see there, I need to clean my nails. Hashtag clean my nails. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, there's no trigger stops or anything on these controllers themselves. There's no software to turn anything down either. So you're just pretty much stuck with what you got out of the box. I will say the Nova comes with Hall effect sensors and the joysticks or the triggers. Doesn't really matter in my personal opinion. And the Nova Lite doesn't. They could have probably put analog triggers in there and did something different, but in any case, I do like the triggers better than this controller. Moving on. So when it comes to rumble packs and the controllers, the Nova itself has the HD rumbles in it, which is more like the traditional Nintendo Switch Pro controller rumbles. They feel really good playing with them and stuff like that. Where the Nova Lite, it just has standard rumble packs in there. You know, they work, they're there, that's fine. Moving on. The other thing that's different about these controllers too, while I'm thinking about it, is the gyro. The Nova Lite doesn't have gyroscope on it, where the Nova itself has that 6-axis gyro, so you can play on Nintendo Switch and stuff like that. So just gonna keep that in mind. If you're looking for a gyro controller, this is completely off the table because it doesn't have it. Just again, putting everything in here as fast as possible. Moving on. So the warranty on these controllers is 12-month warranty. So if anything goes wrong, happens, craps out on you, you should be good to go. To be honest with you, I'm still waiting on it to come in. So I had a controller come in. This came out of the box. The stick right here, the dongle itself. Let me see if I can get a good shot of that. So the reset button here on the dongle itself, it's completely pushed in, tore up and stuff. It came actually out of the packaging like that. Now I'm just throwing that in here because, you know, I feel like have to, but I reached out to them. I didn't even ask them to send me another one. I just let them know there's supposed to be another one coming in the mail. I should be here this week before I even drop the video. If it does, you'll see a picture of it pop up on screen right now, just showing you that I did receive it. And they sent me another one. Absolutely, just send me another one, and that's cool because, well, they gave me these controllers free anyway, so I did not expect that to happen. So at the end of the day, do I recommend the Nova and the Nova Lite? It honestly just really depends on your budget. If you literally just can't afford nothing other than this, then sure, you can go out and grab these. Personally, I'm going to save up a little bit more and get the T4 wired or the T4 wireless, which are just better controllers at the end of the day. They do cost a little bit more. You get so many more features with them versus these controllers. But at the end of the day, that's what Gamesir was doing. They wanted to put out controllers that had Hall effect sticks on them that were just as cheap as possible for the cheap as possible gamer out there. Maybe you are like, look, I have money. I don't need this cheap stuff. I want expensive stuff. And if that's the case and you want to know what my go-to controller is right now, it's going to be the Apex 4. I've been using this controller religiously since I've got it. You can check out that video I did a review on here. It's definitely one of my favorite controllers to date. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace and love.